The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
All right, I'll initiate the meeting. It's a regular town board meeting. It is July 6, 2020. The time is 7 p.m. And before we begin the regular agenda items, would you all please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we do have some members of the audience attending, and we have the seats set up for social distancing. So we have, just to let everybody know, I don't know if the people out in the public are watching us via YouTube or via Zoom, or you're present. And in all 3 cases, I'm assuming the public is there. So welcome. And if you're on YouTube and you have a question, I will announce at the appropriate time what kind of questions will be allowed. For example, we have resolutions, and at that point in the meeting, any of the questions or thoughts that you may have to deal with those resolutions. And then towards the end of the meeting, I will have an opportunity for people to speak that have questions about any town topic, okay? So you can go through Zoom and ask a question, or you can call 761-8225, and I got the number up there. We have that on YouTube, Peter. So, so 761-8225, but please at the appropriate time, and you have to have a caller ID. It must be observable. It must show up on my phone here. But you're welcome to call in if you aren't familiar with or can't get Zoom. That's okay. And then we have Look TV filming this, so you'll be able to view it 3 times next week and 3 times the week after that, starting with Tuesday evening. Okay. So let's get to the agenda. The first item on the agenda requires the town board to go into the local board of health, and there is a public hearing tonight on a sewage disposal variance, which will tell you a little bit more if the town board allows us to go into a local board of health. So is there a motion to move into the local board of health?
So moved. Second.
All right, moved by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of entering into the Queensbury Local Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now in the Local Board of Health. So, Karen, would you please read to the public hearing that we are going to deal with tonight as a local Board of Health?
Sure. It's a public hearing sewage disposal variance application of Robert Stutz.
All right. So this is a resolution taking a look at Robert Stutz's, which I understand the Campbells are buying it from Mr. Stutz, application for sanitary sewage disposal variance. They're asking for 3 variances. A septic tank to be 5 foot from the building in lieu of the required 10-foot setback. The second variance they're asking for is the absorption field to be 15 feet from the building in lieu of the required 20-foot setback. And the third variance is the absorption field 95 feet from Lake George in lieu of the required 100-foot setback. So this is for a residence on 16 Mayflower Lane, which is the Pilot Knob area. And I do see the engineer who was present. And please identify yourself and tell us a little bit about the project, please.
Good evening, Board. I'm Tom Hutchins. I do business as Hutchins Engineering, Queensbury. Here on behalf of applicant Robert Stutz. And as you mentioned, the property is changing hands from Robert Stutz to Jeff and Heather Campbell. And Jeff Campbell is here with us as well. This is an older residence. There's a antiquated cesspool type system located in the driveway area. The challenge with replacement is water supply wells. There are 3 water supply wells, one that serves this property and 2 neighboring properties that would interfere with a replacement in the area of the current system. With that in mind, we've opted to show it on between the house and the shoreline, which we don't normally do. But that's really the best location for it. I've kind of tried to minimize all the variances. I'm asking for 15 feet from the building to the absorption field in lieu of 20. That allows me to hold a greater separation from the shoreline. If you went to the property, you notice there's some 35 feet vertically between the location of this field and the actual lake. It's deep, well-drained sands, and we've chosen an Elgin sand filter type system, passive system, but does provide some degree of enhanced treatment. And we're also showing a polyethylene septic tank that would be 5 feet from the building. The reason we're using polyethylene is just access. It would be a very difficult location to get a concrete tank to, and a polyethylene tank can be manhandled somewhat and lifted with a very small machine. So with that, I guess I turn it over to the board for questions.
Yep.
And I'll do my best to answer.
I know one question that many of the board members had was, why didn't you put it in the back? And Mrs. Campbell kind of said, I think it's due to the wells, which made us take a closer look at the location map and the design of the system. And in fact, that's true. So a little bit closer to the lake, 95 feet versus 100 feet, or closer to the wells. I could see that you jockeyed that around and what you thought was the best place.
I looked at replacing it in the current location. It would be 55 feet from the well serving this property and 55 feet to one neighbor's well and 85 feet to another neighbor's well. And I'm not comfortable with those distances.
Okay, understood. Questions from any member of the council?
Tom, so the system that's going in there is not an enhanced treatment system?
Well, yeah, it's an Elgin geosynthetic sand filter. So it provides a degree of enhanced treatment with the sand filtration.
Okay.
It is passive. It runs by gravity. It doesn't have power and blowers and that sort.
Okay, so what's the next step up in terms of enhanced treatment that you've seen?
The next step up would be some form of probably aerobic enhanced treatment. This Elgin system is similar to Presby in that it uses sand to provide a degree of enhanced treatment. The next step up would likely be some form of aerobic treatment, which
And what are some? I mean, I'm familiar with Fuji. That's just a brand name of these.
Fuji is an enhanced treatment unit. That's similar to Claris. That's a media
Claris.
filtration.
So
Norwaco makes them. Infiltrator makes them. I'm sorry.
So we're going. I mean, this is for me. This is easy, right? 5 feet, and I looked at the property. You got plenty of good. I'm just trying to understand when we advocate for, a more sophisticated enhanced treatment when we're asking for lake variances, and
And I see where you're going. In this case, we were so close, and I didn't choose to go to that route initially.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but if I'm not, you don't have to answer. But what are, so what's the step function with regard to cost to go to the next step?
To go to a fully, or to go to an aerobic pretreatment?
Yeah.
Several $1,000s.
Okay.
5+.
Okay. Thank you. I'm okay with what you got, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand.
Well, the Elgin is an enhanced treatment system versus your just going into the ground system.
Right.
I think you were talking about, like possibly the
Well, could we put the Claris one was the last one we saw over in Glen.
Claris 750 or the Claris 400, 450 is about $7,500 just for the system, and not including installation and regular maintenance, and they are good. And if they were, in a situation where they were 75 feet from the lake or 60 feet from the lake, I'd see where you're going.
And then the Glen Lake one, they even put a UV on top of the Claris, right? Was it because of?
Yeah, they did that on their own.
John and I had the same conversation, even though it's just 5 feet, it's like, where do we set the threshold in? The
Right.
variances come along here. We're trying to protect the lake and keeping it within the code that we have in terms of how far away we should be.
Right, because as some of you know, if we give them 1 inch, people are going to be breathing down. Some people think that, that it's not good enough. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I think we could talk about this for a long time because I think a couple $1,000 now versus hazard to the lake is a big deal. So I appreciate the questions. I don't know as much about the systems, but I think it bears going forward with caution and prudence to make sure it's the right investment.
I think we're talking, Tom, if you run into a more difficult one in the future.
I would have. I mean,
All right.
a lot of this comes down to our comfort level too, with what we have, the site conditions, and not the soils.
Understood.
Okay.
All right. We do have a public hearing on this tonight. Barring no further questions from the town board at this time, although you're welcome to after the public hearing as well. All right. So, folks on Zoom, get ready. You can ask a question. Those folks that want to do a call-in, the call-in number is 518-761-8225. And there's members of the audience here. Is there anybody here who would like to speak to this sewage disposal variance application of Robert Stutz tonight? Anybody here? Nobody present. Anybody on Zoom? I don't see anybody on Zoom. No typed in questions, no raised blue hands. No call-ins, nobody here. Okay. Any further questions for the applicant, town board?
No.
All right. I'll close the public hearing. Anyone like to put forward a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Motion to approve the resolution approving Robert Stutz's application for sanitary sewage disposal variances. Motion made by Councilperson Freer, seconded by Councilperson McGee. Sure, get on the record. I'll introduce you in a minute. Once we get back to town board. All right, roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Okay, Councilperson Ferone,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Stroud,
Yes.
Freer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. That's it for the health. May I have a motion to move out of the Queensbury Local Board of Health?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Freer,
Second.
seconded by Councilperson Ferone. All those in favor of moving out of the Queensbury Local Board of Health signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. We're out of the Queensbury Board of Health. So, Tony Medevere is not here because he's got work to do up north. Part of his job, just couldn't make tonight's meeting. But we do have a new person with us representing Ward 4, a position previously held by Jennifer Switzer, but now held by appointment of this town board, Amanda McGee. And Amanda, you might want to just say hi.
Hi.
And I'm sure that you will learn a lot more about Amanda, and unless you want to share some things about you now, or just as we go along.
As we go along.
All right, fine. So, and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the town board. And we have 4 members, and it's easier than we've had some meetings with just 3 members, and that means we all have to agree on everything. Which we don't always. We try and iron out our differences before town board meeting, but we do have our thoughts on various matters that we share through emails and such. All right. So now we're back to the regular meeting, and we do have a public hearing. So Karen, would you please introduce to the public hearing for tonight?
Sure. It's a public hearing on proposed local law to amend Chapter 179 zoning of Queensbury Town Code to amend permitted uses in the commercial light industrial zoning district.
All right. This is to allow interior self-storage. Interior self-storage. A kind of storage unit where everything is inside. There's criteria that go along with it to make it very pleasant to be in a residential area. We originally designed this interior self-storage for Sokol's Market. Now is an interior self-storage. A lot of people didn't even know that, even though they drive by it every day. All right, this is to allow an interior self-storage to be an allowable use in the commercial light industrial zoning district and by special use permit. That means when the planning board reviews applications for this type of use in a commercial light industrial zoning district, they will have to give it an extra careful look to make sure it fits and is suitable. So, the planning board, as per the concurrence of the town board, did the seeker review. So they declared a seeker negative declaration, and they presented a favorable recommendation on the petition zoning change. They made a correction and made this declaration and recommendation at their May 27th, 2020 meeting of the planning board. The Warren County Planning Department has reviewed this proposed change in the zone, and they said there will be no county impact. And there is a public hearing on this tonight, Monday, July 6th, 2020. So I will do the public hearings in these formats, those people present to see if they have any thoughts on the matter. those people who are watching us through Zoom, and then those people who are watching us through YouTube who wish to call the town at area code 518-761-8225, you will be last. I give you a little extra time to get to the phone and so forth. This is the phone. You must show up on caller ID, your identity, and so forth. All right, so let's start with the public that are present at the meeting today. Is there anybody present at the meeting today that wishes to speak to this proposed change in the commercial light industrial zone? Proposed change being it will allow the addition of a use called interior self-storage. Nobody? Anybody in Zoom out there? All right, I've gone through everything. I don't see anybody on Zoom have any questions on the matter. Call-ins. Call in at 761-8225. Area code 518-761-8225. Call-ins for YouTube. Any announcements you want to make while we'll wait for people to call in?
Sure. Want me to start?
Sure.
So, good news at the swimming pool this morning. They opened up for lap swim and for general swim. The pool was great. It was, and I think they had a full set of reservations only now if you want to swim at Gurney Lane, except if you're silly and get up early in the morning and want to go lap swim. So there was plenty of room for those who want to get their exercise between 6:30 and 8:30 in the swimming pool. As usual, my wife swam twice as far as I did, but at least I was there. And I'm curious to hear offline about other pool issues that have been part of John Strauss' life.
Well, you bicycled, what, 42 miles the other day, too?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, good for you.
So I guess the other topic that I had on my review list was I really think we need to do something about all the paper we're generating with revised local law ordinances. I have a stack of changes that remind me of. It's a little intimidating for. I gave a package to Amanda, so she's probably going, "What the heck is this?" But we're wasting a lot of paper, and it's all online, and we should figure out collectively how to reduce our paper usage. As we publish that stuff, I don't know if the state mandates for us to have hard copy, local laws in multiple copies or whatever. But I really would like for us to think about how to reduce the paperwork and the just sort of busy work of trying to follow this.
Well, part of the plan was allow the planning board and zoning board to get used to the tablets because they get more paperwork than we do.
Yep.
And if they're successful and it seems to be a comfort level that they can easily work with the electronic formats, once they try it out and get used to it, that's what we want to hear. Then I think it'll be time for us to move to that. But they're kind of like the guinea pigs right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we locked them out pretty hard. I was part of that initial zoning board thing. So, but yeah, more work to be done on moving into 2020 with regard to paperwork reduction. Mm-hmm. So that's all I have.
Okay.
But I think your question was about the large code book that we maintain and whether or not we could alleviate having to do that.
Well, I personally don't intend to maintain my personal copy that was issued to me. You can do whatever you want. I'm sure Carolyn and
We maintain a copy.
maintain a master copy, and it's all online. So I would just as soon not get those reports.
My copy was from a predecessor who did not put those in, and I
So was
spent
mine.
many hours
That's
updating.
That's the tediousness that I'm
I don't
addressing.
have the book yet, so I'm done.
Okay.
Time to think through that.
Yeah,
We could
good
maybe
point.
have one that we could check out. There could be a master one that's never touched by people who could hurt
Well,
it.
and they're all online. It's all online.
It's all online.
Yeah.
Some things, like the charts and things like that, I just, going back to me, I find it a lot easier to find what I'm looking for because I know where it is.
Right.
But
Well, you can do that. I'm just saying I don't want to.
because they got a search mode to it and everything else. They put in fencing, it'll give you a lot more than you want to know about fencing.
And I know that you guys keep a master copy, right? The clerk's required, I'm sure, to keep a master copy.
All right. Well, I think we've given the public enough time to do the call in. Thoughts on the matter from town board? Anything?
Cool. Seems to be straightforward.
All right, then I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution enacting local law to amend Chapter 179 zoning of the Queensbury Town Code to amend permitted uses in the commercial light industrial zoning district, specifically allowing the addition of interior self-storage. All right, motion made by Councilperson McGee.
Second.
Seconded by Councilperson Perone. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Sure, Councilperson Stroud,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and McGee.
Yes.
Okay. And
There goes
that's it for
Kmart.
public hearing. Now we'll move to resolutions. We have 12 resolutions. I'll briefly explain the 12 resolutions to the public. And if you have any questions on any of the resolutions, I would give you an opportunity after I get done describing them for you to speak to them. And like I said, you can speak those people who were present first, and then Zoom, and last would be the call-ins. So let me go through and describe the resolutions. Karen, would you please introduce 4.1?
Resolution authorizing purchase of mower for cemetery department.
Okay, purchase of mower for the cemetery department. As you can well imagine, one thing that the cemetery department does a lot of is mowing. I know you had other answers, but mowing really is one of the big things they do, and they wear out mowers and they need good mowers. This is a John Deere Z960 commercial ZT rack mower from Paul's Farm and Garden. And it's obtained through a quote under the New York State Office of General Services for an amount of $10,998.68 for the cemetery department. 4.2,
Resolution setting public hearing on proposed local law of 2020 to reenact and reestablish temporary moratorium on installation of ground-mounted solar energy systems.
all right, we're very close. Thanks to the efforts of Councilperson Freer and our Planning and Zoning Director, Greg Brown, for language that is acceptable for the new ground-mounted solar energy systems law, but Harrison would rather us use alternative energy law? Renewable energy. So that's what it's going to be called in the future. But for now, since we're not quite done, we want to extend the moratorium. So this is placing a public hearing to extend the moratorium and give us until we think August, we should be able to wrap up the renewable energy law. So we'll have a public hearing on this moratorium July 20th, 2 weeks from tonight, here and Zoom and YouTube, July 20th. And this is to set that public hearing on the proposed continuation of the moratorium. 4.3.
Resolution authorizing license agreement between Town of Queensbury and Richard Sears Tree Service.
All right, Richard Sears Tree Service and the town have had a very cooperative arrangement, an arrangement that started a few years back. Richard Sears has been doing his operations out of Harris Road for as long as I can remember. Residential developments have cropped up on both sides of them. Dixon Heights, for example, the new apartments over by exit 19. And a lot of what he does is noisy. The chippers are very noisy. We used to get phone calls that say, come in my backyard. And I did. And you couldn't talk to one another in this person's backyard. And the chipper would run for hours. So I said, Richard, this can we work out some different arrangement? The town has a lot of land up off of Ridge Road. It's where our transfer station is. Could we work out an arrangement where you do your chipping there and you do some chipping for the town too, for free? It's a trade-off. And he said, yeah. So we worked that out. Now, over the years, the chipping has become enormous. The weather that we're having has become more extreme. 100-year events seem to be occurring several times a year now. It's probably related to climate change. We know that. But the rainfalls are heavier. The winds are stronger. And so we have a lot more brush, logs, and trees that we have to get out of the road. And so Mr. Sears is saying, listen, this is a way more than what I thought we agreed to way years back when life was different. And I said, yeah, that's true. So we made an agreement that he will pay whomever. Right now, it actually is his son who does the grinding for us, but it may not always be his son doing the grinding for us. You will pay the first 2 days of grinding. Now, last year, for example, we had 3 days of grinding. Grinding is about, $3,000 a day? Grinding. It's not cheap. And so he'll have to pay the first 2 days of grinding for him to be located up there. So the noise, the chipping noise, and he has to remove his materials because, believe it or not, you'd think there was a nice big market for wood chips, right? Recycling, composting, all that green stuff. There must be a market. All right, if you find one, tell us, because we're trying to get rid of the wood chips. We'll give them away. Anyhow, Mr. Sears is responsible for his own wood chips, but we're responsible for our wood chips. And they take up a lot of space, even as chips. A lot less space than they were before they were ground. So grounding helps to make them theoretically marketable. And they used to be. We used to have people come up and get them, and it wasn't a problem. But these days, we can't seem to find anybody that wants the chips. And then we have all your leaf bags in biodegradable bags. And they go up there, sit up there, and you look underneath those piles, and you'll see the darkest, richest soil. Can you give it away? No. It sits there. The county, I'm going on, aren't I? The county has a recycling program or a solid waste program. It's a bigger picture, which includes recycling. Hopefully, they stimulate and work with markets and get them here so that we can, this stuff is good stuff. The leaves, our leaves are not grass clippings for the most part. They're leaves. And they're very compostable, and they make great soil. And the chips, after they deteriorate, they can add to the soil. In the meantime, they're great for your landscaping efforts and everything else, but you'd rather pay for them, I understand. All right, so this is an agreement with Richard Sears, in the short, to do some of our grinding. The noisy operation is moved over to Ridge Road. Noise problem solved for those people that live around exit 19. 4.4, Karen.
Resolution authorizing acceptance of reimbursement for purchase of speed limit buoys in Dunham's Bay.
All right, so Dunham's Bay Association came to us and said, the people who are putting their boats in at the little Dunham's Bay Marina, not John Salvador's, but the one under the bridge, that people put in, and they speed right out once they get out from under that bridge. They don't see the 5-mile markers that all of Dunham's Bay is 5 miles per hour until you get out to the end of Dunham's Bay. So they would, like the town, we did already, locate these speed buoys. So as soon as you're leaving the marinas, On the south end of Dunham's Bay, you will see the speed markers, and they apply to all of Dunham's Bay. Plus, they wanted an extra one, so they wanted 3. So in the old days, you used to be able to call up DEC and get it done. Nope. The towns have to buy their own buoys. All right, that's great. I buy a lot of things, but I never bought speed buoys. So I did my research. Warren County Soil and Water District, Lake George Park Commission, they all helped out. We got these buoys. And so Dunham's Bay Association would like to pay us back for the buoys. So this is a donation. We have to accept the donation. So the 3 buoys, believe it or not, came to $603.50. I thought they'd be cheaper. That's what they are. So when you see those buoys out in Lake George, think, those are expensive, aren't they? Okay. Well, anyhow, Dunham's Bay would like to reimburse us, and we would like to accept that maybe tonight. 4.5.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Dakota Song as full-time laborer for Town Highway Department.
All right. Cemeteries lost, highways gain. I know Superintendent Connie Getter is present tonight, and she said vouched that Dakota Song is a good worker. Well, there was an opening in the highway department, full-time laborer, and he wanted to try there. He gets 90 days to try it out? He can come back if he wants.
He's summer help.
Oh, okay. He's summer help, but this is full-time. All right. 4.6.
Resolution accepting dedication of Bonner Drive extension.
Okay. So Bonner Drive has had an extension. It was done in accord with town road standards, and it has a turnaround at the end, whereas before it never had. There is the addition of 3 new lots at the end. So the highway supervisor, Dave Dool, has reviewed the whole situation and has approved this extension going to us. So this is a resolution accepting the dedication of the Bonner Drive extension. 4.7.
Resolution setting town official standards workday for retirement purposes.
All right. So this is a standardizing workday for our employees, even the town board. And for the first 3 months, new town board members have to keep track of their time. So the time for a town board council person is monthly. So this is for the purposes of contributing to your local retirement system. 4.8.
Resolution to amend 2020 budget.
All right, this is just changing things to where they were needed. It accepts money. For example, there was an accident with a truck. We got paid for that by the insurance company. This accepts that into the account. We also never set up an account for our HR people, so this is setting aside $20,000 for them. And then just little shifts here and there. 4.9.
Resolution authorizing award of bid for purchase of new auto recovery processor for crematory located at Pineview Cemetery.
All right. This is we do have a processor in our crematorium, and it digests the bones and the other materials. And our older one is satisfactory, but it produces dust and it doesn't extract the metals like it should. So we'll leave that as a backup. This new processor is much more efficient, and it removes the metals. And there is value in the metals, like teeth and the metals there. There is value to that. So this processor of $32,660.22 will actually pay for itself over a small amount of time. 4.10.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Chief Pete's Lawn Care to mow certain abandoned or neglected property in town of Queensbury.
All right, this is 14 Far Lane, and it's just not being kept up as it should. So we will hire Chief Pete to go and take care of it, and then we'll add it to their taxes. And this will be to commence on July 7th for a period of 3 months, $75 a month, for an amount not to exceed $225 for taking care of this lawn. 411,
Resolution authorizing an award of bid to Edward and Thomas O'Connor, Inc. for 2020 Quaker Meadowbrook Road Sewer Force Main Replacement Project.
okay, as some of you may remember, we have some sewer pipe that is buried in very acidic soils in the Meadowbrook area. This particular pipe is between 2 automobile dealerships off Quaker Road, and we had to get renewed easements. We couldn't find the original easements. You'd think they'd exist. We're having trouble finding these easements. We're finding trouble easements with Route 9. But in any event, so we had to do some legal work, and our town council is present tonight too, Mark Shackner. So we need to replace this line. We've already done work on it 3 times, and it's not a pretty sight when you have a sewer break. This weekend we had a water line break by the price shopper on Upper Glen Street. Well, that's one thing. Sewer breaks are not as pleasant. And so we generally, this piping is getting eaten by the soils. It needs to be replaced. So we put it out to bid. O'Connor came in as the low bidder. We already set aside $533,000 for this project. The bid came in at $430,000 plus contingency of $40,000 for a total of $470,000 to replace this line if this board approves this bidders. And they were the low bid, O'Connor and Thomas O'Connor, Edward and Thomas O'Connor Incorporated. And 412, last one, folks.
Resolution approving audit of bills warrants of June 29, 2020 and July 7, 2020.
All right, totaling $24,133.48 and $1,759,790.86 respectively. And the bills can't be paid until the town board approves those bills. Those are the resolutions before us tonight. Is there anybody present who would like to speak to any of those 12 resolutions before the town board? Yes, ma'am. Superintendent of Cemetery, Connie Gettle.
Good evening. I just wanted to bring your attention to 4.1 and that money was being paid to the town from the Cemetery Commission.
Oh, okay.
So you're accepting the funds for the lawnmower from them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else present? Anybody on Zoom? No blue hands? No Q&A? Okay, how about call-ins? All right, those people that wish to call in, area code 518-761-8225. These are questions on the 12 resolutions before us tonight or thoughts that you wish to hand to us. You can call in. So area code 518-761-8225. While we're waiting for call-ins, anything, Amanda? Oh, I've got stuff. All right. Nice article in the Towns and Topics, Association of Towns magazine. You'll be getting copies of these. You're going to find them incredibly information and just the kind of stuff you need to have information on. This is a great resource from the Association of Towns. And this article in, I think it's this month, May, June 2020. Bolton's innovative wastewater solution. So congratulations to Supervisor Conover and the Bolton Town Board for using a Woodchip Bioreactor. This is the first of its kind project in New York State. And the town of Bolton is using locally sourced wood chips to help remove nitrates from its wastewater effluent and reduce harmful nutrient loading in Lake George, which, as we know, is one of the state's most clearest and excellent water quality lakes, and I could say it's one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, as Thomas Jefferson did in 1791. So, congratulations to Bolt Landing for taking the extra step. Well, going to take the extra step in its treatment.
You could tell Supervisor Conover that we have wood chips we can sell them.
I don't know if they have to be a particular type or not, but yes, I will tell them we got wood chips. Thank you, Harris. That's good thinking. All right, so no call-ins on any of the 12 resolutions. Nobody on Zoom. Nobody public. So, are there any resolutions that any town board member would like to have pulled for a roll call?
John, can I just add to with regard to the recovery process, it's also going to be safer for our cemetery employees. The system is much more safe and efficient. So I think it's really good that we're moving forward with this thing. But
made by the cemetery commission.
No, that's the mower.
That's the mower.
I'm lower.
Oh,
talking about the process.
Not the processor. We're paying for the processor.
Coming out of
But it'll pay for itself. All right, thanks, Harrison. Anything else? All right, and Karen, we'll now look for a motion to approve resolutions 4.1 through 412. Is there a motion to approve those resolutions?
I'll make another motion.
All right. Councilperson
Second.
McGee, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote on those, Karen?
Councilperson Freer,
Yes.
Perone,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Stroud.
Yeah. So those 12 resolutions passed. Any correspondence?
I do have one. I have the supervisor's report for building and codes and community development for the month of June.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is privilege of the floor. Any person that would like to speak to the town board about any town topic, this is your opportunity to do so. And we will start with those who are present. We will then go to people on Zoom that may have questions of the town board or thoughts they want to share with the town board. And third, we'll do the call-ins. And again, so you can be ready, it's area code 518-761-8225 and must have caller ID. Anybody present like to talk to the town board about any town matter? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward and identify yourself and explain your thoughts.
Good evening to everybody. I'm Jennifer Dubkowski at 8 Trails End. We actually have 2 issues tonight, so I will let my husband take the second slot here. First, I wanted to start thank everybody who was involved with getting the STR bill passed. And I know it was said that this is a first draft, first step. So thank you to everybody. I do appreciate that. And I'm sure you're all dying to get feedback on that so far. So I just wanted to start by saying that the Airbnb that is currently next door to our residence has been there operating as an Airbnb since December. The owner of the property has been very responsive, very attentive. He's considered a super host. He's always, within a reasonable period of time, responded when we've had any concerns or issues. With that being said, it seems like the hosts are not the problem. I'll just talk about the last 3 weeks, what we've experienced. It feels like it's been about a year since the bill was passed. We've had 6 groups that we're aware of, different groups of people coming and going since June 15th. 3 out of the 6 broke one of the rules that the owner of the property had agreed on with us, not in the bill, regarding pedestrians on our shared property. But in addition to that, my husband had to, or made the choice to approach guests at this STR who were using a longbow, shooting these arrows in the driveway immediately next to our property, with our kids playing on their swings about 50 feet or so away. We considered calling the owner right then or the police, but we were afraid of retribution of the guests. We didn't know how long they were going to stay, and we just crossed our fingers that they were nice and reasonable, which they were. But my husband carefully approached them. They apologized. And, we did let the owner know after they had left, because we didn't want to have any issues with the guests. In addition, we had to block our driveway because guests were doing 3-point turns and coming onto our property, and our kids play there. And I mentioned when we were here in May, we live on a dead-end dirt road, privately owned by us and the owner of this STR. My husband had to slow down a vehicle racing down our dirt road past the swing set. And this was a family who had kids. And about a week ago, I was in my dining room. I heard some rather colorful language through the dining room window from the STR. And I will edit it for the purposes of the meeting. I heard a young man say, "I would just slap that bee down. I'm going to pour the whole effing bottle of lighter fluid on it. I'm going to blow the whole effing place up." They were trying to have a barbecue. Thankfully, my children were inside the house, the other side of the house, watching something on TV. So the challenge with those issues, in addition to a couple other minor infractions, the challenge there is that the host, according to the STR bill, has 1 hour from being contacted to address and correct the complaint or issue. So that's 1 hour for this problem to persist. Do I need to stop? Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. There's 1 hour for this problem to persist with no ramifications, no penalty. So if in the 59th minute they stop swearing with the kids there, then that's okay. The resident is the one who has to notice the issue, complain to the owner, and then since there's no registration for short-term rentals at this point in time, we have to follow up with the town. Did the owner actually report this complaint or not? And we have to kind of snitch on this owner next door that we're trying to work with him as best we can. But the bill or the law as it was passed doesn't really address that, even though there's a penalty after or up to $950, right? Yeah. Is my understanding. And there's really no way for the town to know that this complaint was made unless the owner does follow through or the resident has to follow through.
Or you call.
Exactly.
You could call or email the town.
Right.
And say, this is what's happening.
Sure.
And did they give you the contact person's phone number?
We had it previously when he purchased the home.
And are we talking about Winther?
No. Oh, they're on the other side of us. No, it's
we're talking about
West Mountain LLC, I think it is.
Westcott?
West Mountain LLC. Yeah. So it's an LLC. The gentleman owns a motel as well.
Yeah, but is there a house on that property?
Yeah, it's the property is 15 Trails End. Gwinther is 2 Trails End there.
Well, what I'll do is I'll find out if the owner of 15 Trails End has been notified of what our law is. I will have Dave Patton, who is our code enforcer, make sure that the owner of 15 Trails End knows what the rules are.
Yeah, Dave already gave them a copy to give to the owner, right?
Did that get to him? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we had planned on just trying to be neighborly with him and provide him with that in case he's unaware. But having children living next to this, rotation of strangers.
Yeah, I know, but
Sure.
wrap it up.
Yep.
You can always
Absolutely.
email us.
Okay. My main point, if we could look at something in the future with regulating these in terms of having zones so that residential areas are not put in a position where the kids aren't safe. You don't know if there's sexual predators. There's no way of knowing other than the word of the owner that guests, visitors have been, weeded out. You weed out the bad ones.
Well, and that's what we're hoping in the future this particular owner does.
Mm-hmm.
So we will try to make them more aware of what the rules are. And if they don't abide by the rules, I think it's $990
Up to 950. Mm-hmm.
So it will hurt.
Sure.
All right. So we'll take care of that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate
All
it.
right. Anybody else like to speak to the town board about any town issues that were present at tonight's meeting? Introduce yourself for the record, please.
James Dobkowski at 80 Trails End. I didn't realize these meetings were so entertaining.
We're only getting your 4 minutes. So quick.
Okay. All right. The last time I was here was December 16th, 2019, about the water damage and runoff that is continually happening on my property. When I was here, or my wife and I were here, we were basically told that we had to go on a long list to wait for things to get fixed on our property, and we were told that the engineer was going to go ahead and investigate the case, and we were told that people were going to stay in touch with us. Obviously, we lost our ward person, but nobody from the town has actually gotten back to us except for the lawyer for the insurance company who made us do a deposition. One of the frustrating things is we kind of respected the fact that we were on a long list and that we had to wait. One of the things that we said was work couldn't be done, even though Dave Duell gave 2 suggestions on how the problem could be fixed, that we were told that they had to be careful so we don't do something that affects other people's property. So in May, we were really excited when we heard trucks up on Northwest Road and work being done. We figured, all right, finally, people have heard our call or know our need, and they were going to address the issue that was taking place. But then when we went up there, we actually discovered the work that was being done, it was about 50 feet off from where our problem is, and it was on somebody else's problem. So basically, if you look, a river of water is coming towards our house, and then there's a small little offshoot that's affecting another neighbor. That neighbor's house and problem has been addressed before ours. We're also told that no work can be done on our property because it's private property. Well, work was done on that neighbor's property as well. When I asked or I followed a report to find out when the problem was discovered for our neighbor, which is the same water source, right? So we were being told that the source is from above, so it wasn't a town problem, but this is the same water. We discovered it was April of this year that the problem was noticed, and the problem was fixed in May. And we put tens of thousands of dollars into our house just to prevent the water from hitting our house. And the frustration is the problem still hasn't been addressed. And so we waited because we were told to wait. We were told that the engineer was going to look into the problem. We haven't heard from the engineer. We were told by the people who were supposedly the source that they're not the issue, according to the town. The engineer seems to have a conversation with them, but doesn't have a conversation with us. So I guess I'm here because it's kind of frustrating. We don't understand why the other house, the other problem was addressed, and ours wasn't. And ours has been going on since April 15th, 2019, May 20th, 2019, June 20th, 2019, happened again on October 31st. It's a continual problem. And why are we being put to the side and our problem's not addressed when it's the same water problem? Same exact road, same exact water problem. And then just to make one point, you were correct, Supervisor Stroud, when you said, we should be careful before we make any changes because it might affect somebody else's property. Well, the changes that have been made on the top of the road do affect somebody else's property, mine. So not only am I getting effect on the north side of my property where I'm getting runoff and stuff, now my culvert on the south side of my property is now filled in with debris and stuff because the water is now taking two routes that are going towards my house. So the frustration is kind of building, and we've been really, really patient, I think, as taxpayers and homeowners. We were told that there was a long list of people get at the end of the line, even though certain people at that meeting have actually said...
You said it 3 times.
Okay.
All right.
Is my time
All
up?
you have to do is say it once.
All right.
Okay?
My time's up? Okay. I didn't hear the beep, so I'm sorry.
So, in any event, but I'm just saying you're repeating yourself. I get your point. You live on the side of a very steep mountain. Water travels downhill as part of gravity.
Yeah, I'm a scientist.
You're in the way.
Thank you.
We don't know the cause of the water because water naturally flows downhill. But you're also suing the town, or you
I'm not. We
filed intent to sue the town.
We filed a claim because we were told when we sat down with Dave Dool that that's what we're supposed to do. It's just a claim because you have to file a claim within 90 days of a municipality. I mean, we were just doing the logical things.
We have to be very careful now about what we say and do. Because you...
So I did the right thing.
So I don't think that, is the water that's going in your backyard and going to almost everybody's backyard who lives on the side of that mountain. And as you know, we did do a repair to the road. And as you know, we've had engineers, we've had the town planning and zoning director. You've had me up there several times. We haven't ignored you. We don't have a quick solution. Even the town engineer, they walked up the side of that mountain to see the origination of the water.
Mm-hmm.
The highway supervisor, Dave Dool, has looked at your situation several times in the last 6 months. Yeah, there was a problem that was an immediate problem that had to be fixed, he told me, and that is replacing some riprap to take the energy out of some stormwater flow that was going in. One of your neighbors cleared their backyard. All right, vegetation is a great way of helping to prevent erosion.
Well, they're the neighbor that was, their problem was addressed. I mean, so you're saying that a neighbor is causing the problem and that's the problem that's addressed.
No, I didn't.
We haven't done anything to our property except trying to prevent the water. I have the original plan of where the water is supposed to go from the 1970s when the house was built. The water is now taking the route of the electrical line. It was never designed to go where it was going. From day one, with all due respect, from day one, every meeting that we had, we said, can we just sit down with somebody? And we were told from day one, lawyer, we'll work it out with lawyer. From day one. And then you're saying I'm suing you. No, we had to file the claim because that's what we were advised to do by the town.
I never said lawyer will work it out.
You didn't.
No.
No, Mr. Dool did. And the zoning commissioner. That's what they told us. And then they said, your insurance company is going to have to file a claim. Well, it's water runoff. So then you have 90 days to file a claim. We never said we were going to sue the town. My lawyer's letter stated, can we sit down and discuss this problem? From day one, we've been asking just to sit down and try to solve the problem.
We are trying to solve the problem. We did not forget you. And imagine the highway department was up there recently making a repair, but they were also looking at you. The highway department supervisor had a discussion with me about your problem, and they're searching for solutions. Even the town engineer doesn't have a quick fix for any of that. Now, what we can do is try and put up some stormwater controls that will send it down the road further but they're worried that that may create other problems down the road further for other properties.
Well, there's a design.
So we're being very careful is what I'm trying to say.
I understand that, but there's a design culvert system that's already there for that road, and it's not being utilized anymore. And then one of the solutions that Dave Duell had was to actually make a wing down the side of the road and redirect it, or installing a culvert. And so my point is we were told that we had to wait. And just because we filed the claim, I almost feel like I'm being punished now because I'm kind of doing the right thing.
We're not punishing you because you filed a claim,
Well,
but we do, now you've forced us to be a little bit more careful about moving forward because you filed the intent of having a lawsuit against us. Now, I suppose that the intent is to prove the town's at fault for this water that's going in your backyard when you live on the side of a mountain.
Well, when it's coming off your road, but all we've asked is that
coming from?
it's coming off Northwest Road.
How's it getting onto the road?
You tell me. It's your road.
Mr. DeFosco, we're trying to work that out. You have a problem that's not an easy solution. So we got everybody looking at it.
Okay, then can I ask just something kindly? In December, we were told that we would be communicated with. The only person who has called us is the lawyer for your insurance company. Nobody's told us what the engineer has found. We stated very clearly at that meeting, if the engineer will give us a report that says that you guys aren't the problem, I said we'll leave you alone.
We don't have a report.
But I don't understand.
How can we give you a report when we don't have one?
Why can't an engineer just look at something and give an engineering report and find out where the water flow is coming from?
Well, you live there. Where's the water coming?
It's coming off of Northwest Road.
No, it's not. How's it getting on the Northwest Road?
You're repeating yourself.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have not forgotten you.
Okay, it feels like you have.
It may be.
So, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else present want to have a discussion with the town board on a town topic? All right. How about somebody from Zoom? Nobody from Zoom. All right, call-ins. Five 761-8225. Yeah, if you take a look at the monthly report we get from Building and Code, development is still going strong in the town of Queensbury. Value of construction for 2020, $22,293,122.42. And for the month of June, it was 9.7 million.
I'm sure there are a lot of people trying to look up the last time this being put on hold for 2 months.
Yeah. So, all right. Any call-ins? All right. No call-ins. All right, so that's it. Well, let's go with town board discussions. Amanda, you have anything you'd like to, your thoughts you'd like to share with the public at this point in time? You don't have to, but if you do, this is an opportunity for you to do it in what we call the town board discussion.
No, I would like to say that I was impressed with the cleanup after the storms the other day, and I have a branch I have to deal with, but I was impressed in my area how quickly some of the fallen limbs got cleaned up.
And we did get a thank you note. Somebody that from I wish to thank all the hard workers who showed up Saturday morning to clear much of the debris from the tornado and showed up again to take away all that we had piled up on the road and our yard on Monday. What a prompt and great service we were given after the storm, and we are grateful for all your time. We truly appreciate all that the workers did. Thank you just doesn't convey our gratitude, but we know what makes the difference, and those workers made a difference to the residents of Hudson Point that were hit by the tornado with our deepest gratitude and appreciation. Mary Ann Ross and Mark Bremser. And I did get phone calls and other emails. Wanted to thank the Highway Department for all the work. They really stepped up to the plate on this tornado thing. I mean, that tornado followed the Hudson River. If you look at Crawl Street, Corinth Road, our water department got hit, but the people in Hudson Point really got hit hard. But there's others too that, we did site visits on, and we saw the damage, and all of them complimented the town highway department. So the town highway department has had extraordinary clearing of debris, branches, trees. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about our Mr. Sears agreement. Mr. Sears is saying, oh, wait a minute. It's a lot more than I thought we agreed to.
Yeah, we got to sell all the Golden Landing was.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up. Anything else? George, anything else?
No, I just mentioned that I usually talk about Glens Falls Hospital. July 1st, the hospital completed their affiliation with Albany Medical Center, Albany Health Systems, and it was a 34-month process. Long, arduous trail, but it was completed, and it's just going to make our local hospital that much stronger. So, looking forward to working with the folks down in Albany.
And I do have that in my notes, so I'm glad you brought it up. I think it's a great thing.
Yes.
Glens Falls Hospital, a great institution in itself, tied in with the capital region and other hospitals, including Saratoga, working together. We're all going to benefit from that arrangement. Mm-hmm. So, congratulations, Glens Falls Hospital. Yeah, thank you. All right, anything else? I have a couple other things. Glens Falls and Queensbury have a relationship that dates back to 1762. 1762, when the town of Queensbury was founded and named after Charlotte, the consort of George III, King of England. All right. Thank you, Kathleen Moore, for the article in today's paper. We were the town of Queensbury, and an early village formed next to the Hudson River because that's where all the power was, for the grist mills, for the wood and lumber mills, for the paper mills. That's where the power is. And so the village, the one time called Crossroads, one time called Wings Falls, eventually called Glens Falls, and that's a stuff. And in 1908, Glens Falls became a city and thus became its own municipal entity. Before then, it was a village to the town of Queensbury. So we've enjoyed a long history, a strong history, and a strong relationship. I say that because recent events have shown how good this relationship is. We had trouble with our filters. And we gather our water out of the Hudson River. We had trouble with our filters. And we have to punch out on a good day, 8-10 million gallons. Our filters were slower than normal. The indicators were that they needed cleaning. We don't know why. They were going through the usual routine. The weather, lack of rain, the pollen. Our filters needed an extreme clean. And so we needed Glens Falls to help us. And they opened the valves, and they get their water from 3 water sources up on the mountain. three reservoirs, Wilkie, Keenan, and Butler. And then you have Butler Reserve. And they were able to supply us with water so that we could maintain our supply and pressure to the town of Queensbury. And we want to thank Glens Falls. Well, a couple of weeks later, Glens Falls wanted to do some work to their tanks. So they had to close the operation of the tanks, and they needed our water. Our filters have since been fixed, and we're up to full power. We can produce up to 12 million gallons a day, and with a little bit of capital investment, maybe 15 million gallons a day. We were able to provide them with water while they worked and maintained their water tanks. So this was just simply done through phone calls from Mayor Hall and myself. Problem solved. Cooperation. And that's the way we like to see it. And I think the public needs to know how good that the city and the town are working well together. Talking about water, the town board's going to get on this. We probably need a workshop. There's a lot of capital projects with water and wastewater that need to be done. And so I asked Chris Harrington, the water superintendent, wastewater director, to develop a capital list, and he has. So we're talking about several $7 million. Not only that, but the county is asking the municipalities to update their capital plans. So this is one that really is something that needs planning, needs attention, needs to have a plan to finance. As you know, we're going to have to finance the immediate ones through bonds because they don't have the fund balances needed to fund these capital projects. But hopefully we'll work out a financial arrangement where we'll get better funding for them so that these can be funded without borrowing. Monthly sales tax collections. The good news is, so far, the hit has been moderate. There were predictions that we would take 20-30% loss in sales tax revenues. But so far for the year, it's down 4.3%, which is, well, let's count our blessings so far and hope that the bottom still doesn't fall out. But this weekend or last weekend, if you went up into the $1 Million Mile, the parking lots were full and you're standing there in traffic. And it's one time I was standing there in traffic in the $1 Million Mile and I was glad. So retail sales appear to be good, appear to be strong. I hope it doesn't lead to a rejuvenation of the COVID. I hope that people wear their masks when they're out in public. We have been getting continuous complaints, as you may have read in the paper, about the big box stores especially. You know, make people wear their masks when they enter there. You can't maintain your social distancing of at least 6 feet at all the time, going down the aisles. So it's just a good idea when you're out in the public, you're in a retail store, wear your mask. And these big box stores should enforce that, help enforce that. All right, talking about masks. Weowaka called, wondered if we had any masks. And yeah, we do have masks. And we just picked up another box of 500. So some of the churches want masks. And so I said, let them call here. How many masks do they want? One church wanted 100. No problem. It's Queensbury Church. Come and pick them up. You know, so far, we have distributed, and I got to thank the town board and Caroline Barber for helping out. We distributed 10 or 11,000 masks to people who want them, need them, and are going to use them.
On the original order, or the original We got 9,000.
9,000. And we've gotten a couple thousand cents. And we just picked up another box of 500.
We gave up.
So Doreen from Hiawatha says, thank you very, very much to the town board. All right. We're talking about some things. We are putting together a limited and safe summer program. Our Park and Rec is a great park. And they're working very hard. They've eliminated some things you can't possibly create a safe environment for the public. But there are some things you can create a safe environment for the public. If you have a certain structure that keeps people at a distance, forces people to wear masks, forces people to bring their own objects, not share or have communal touching. Those kind of things to keep this COVID virus from spreading is what they're trying to do, but offer an opportunity for you to get out of the house and enjoy yourself, to recreate, get some exercise. So if you're wondering what's still in the program, and this is Queensbury Residents First, go to the town's website for Park and Recreation, and they still have a lot of exciting things to do. Also, Brian Moon, real property analyst from the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, Office of Real Property Tax Services, hereby certified that the State Office of Real Property Tax Services established the final state equalization rate for the town of Queensbury of 100. All right. This is an ongoing effort. It was an effort started by Terry Ross, who was our assessor, recognized throughout the state. We're lucky to have her. She was the president of the New York State Association of Assessors. And she keeps the town at 100% equalization every year. We don't have to go through that routine of every 4 or 5 years of paying some outside firm to come in. I think we paid them $300,000 last time. It's not cheap. To come in. Now she does it, so it's done annually. I get these reports verifying them from the state of taxation and finance. And it also provides the other towns in Warren County, and it's not as pretty. So Queensbury is 100%. Thank you, Terry Ross and her assessor team. We also had a discussion with Moody's Investor Service. And you know what they said? You're doing everything right. So we're not going to lower your rating. Some municipalities, as they're in the jeopardy of losing revenues from this source or that source. They're talking about cutting budgets. 20% is not uncommon. Moody's went through us, took a look at us, and they said, you're doing everything right. Your fund balances, it's right on. Your budgeting, in other words, keeping your costs down, projecting your revenues conservatively, spending, looking at a worst case scenario, you're a very healthy town. So we're not going to reduce your rating. We're going to keep your rating. I think it's a AAA rating. So, but the discussion that we had with the Moody's person was very good, and it was rewarding to hear that we are one of the municipalities doing everything right. So we gave out a very nice report. Also, Glens Falls Hospital, George already did that. Lake George Land Conservancy, their newsletter is available, but if you want to see it, go to Lake George Land Conservancy and get it digitally. That's what we're trying to promote. And as you know, they are the land conservancy around Lake George. Without them, there'd be more development. And what causes the pollution in Lake George? Development, human development. So if you limit human development, you're going to limit the pollutants going into Lake George. And Lake George Land Conservancy along with the LGA, the Fund for Lake George, the Lake George Park Commission. They all deserve credit for helping to make Lake George a beautiful, healthy lake. It takes a lot of work, and it's going to continue taking a lot of work as we move forward. All right, those are mine. Town board discussions. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, well, I want to thank Karen, Deputy Town Clerk, and Mark Shatner, Town Council, Joel Barlow, Look TV, Peter Pape of Pape Productions, and he's doing the YouTube. Danny Griffin from Store Tech was here to help us with the Zoom, but he just checks in now. I think I got it down pretty good. All right. So thank you, town board members. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you, town public, for arriving. Thank you on the Zoom, and thank you on YouTube. If there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilperson Brown, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're now adjourned.
The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan are one of New York's largest independently owned insurance agencies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.